No one thought Bob Caston could be defeated. And we better run one of those corporate mold head, you know, one of those guys with hair like Charlie Sykes that never moves. So they picked this corporate Democrat out of the Milwaukee area. You know what people in Dane County said? Hell no, we're running Ed Darby. And Ed Darby won that race, except Mr. Caston went on the air with millions of dollars of ads that lied. And of course, they stole that election. Are we going to let them steal this election? I'm not kidding. Nancy Mistel was on the radio this afternoon. Mistel the Pistol was on the radio this afternoon telling Vicki McKenna's listeners that union thugs had flown in absentee voters and she wanted U.S. Marshals at the airport to look for voter fraud. They discovered nothing! Well, Nancy, I got news for you. This revolution was homegrown. The only imposters in this state is Frank Luntz, who they snuck through a rat hole of the Capitol to give our college dropout governor, well, I'm a college dropout too, but our college dropout governor tips on how to spin his line. Right. Then they brought in the Coke money, and they brought in all the corporate money, and they thought, literally, they could make David Prosser look sympathetic. There's no problem. That guy was using language worse than I do. I've been accused of that stuff. He's worse than I am. He was saying turd at a Jesuit school. I want to tell you, we've been through recounts before. 1982. I met this young attorney. I was in between radio jobs. I was at a law firm, horrible, stuffy corporate law firm. But I met this young attorney named Russ Feingold, who hated it. Right? He had this afro, and I had long hair, and he goes, I'm running for the Senate. And I said, where? He goes, well, we'll be going up to Richland County and Columbia County. And so we got nice smashed up in Palo, went up there, did some doors. Well, election night, he was down by 19 votes. I saw him give a concession. I've seen him give 2 concession speeches. Unfortunately, the most recent one stuck. But I saw him give a concession speech in 1982. He ran against an incumbent, had been around for 30 years, Cy Bickle, who was actually a good man. It was back when Republicans weren't rapacious fascists. It was a very close election. He loses by 19 votes. The next morning, he woke up, and it turned out somebody in Poynette had put one category of votes in the wrong spot. And for the next month and a half, ballot by ballot by ballot by ballot, every vote was hand-counted. Wow. And those Republicans, this was the majority of the state Senate, those Republicans fought like hell. And they tried to knock out school teachers' votes and farmers' votes. They tried to do everything they could. But by December of 1982, 29-year-old Russ Feingold represented the 27th district in the state Senate. Because election night, he had the good sense to call our lawyers. And our lawyers called in the folks from AFSCME and the folks from the AFL-CIO, and we mobilized and we went to those town halls throughout South Central Wisconsin, and we stopped them from stealing democracy, and that's what you have to do tomorrow. Now, I looked at the vote totals, and of course, yes, today they're talking about those people in Milwaukee. Well, that's just, you know, why don't they just drop the N-bomb? That's what they're doing, right? That's what they're doing. Those people in Milwaukee. And those people in Madison. And I have news for you. They're going after blacks, they're going after students, and let's face it, if they passed their voter ID bill, we wouldn't have won yesterday. That's right. They're trying to disenfranchise us. So we've got to stop them. Yeah, right. And I have news for Vicki McKenna and Charlie Sykes and Dan Galley Yes, black people did help Joanne Kloppenberg, and so did students, and gays, and hardworking farmers. But if you look at that map of Wisconsin, so did the Finns. So did the Swedes. Up in Stevens Point, so did the Poles. The Poles went to the polls. And you know what? We won. And you know, it's fine that the people in Washington, Waukesha, and Ozaukee County went to the polls yesterday in fear, unfortunately misinformed. But it took those 3 counties to even come close to what we did here in Dane County. Now, we've still got some more work to do, and I got a plan on how we can begin to explain the Walker devastation of the state, because unfortunately, we haven't seen the worst of it. Small businesses are going to close all over this state because of him trying to balance the budget on the backs of bus drivers and school teachers and plow drivers and janitors. Scott Walker thinks that a janitor making $10 an hour who happens to have health care and a pension is the reason the state's in debt. I say for the last 40 years, corporate giveaways have done nothing but ship jobs out of the state. And you know, most janitors in this state know more than Scott Walker. You got to start listening to them. And here's my plan. Tell me if you like it. We're going to start a website, and every small business that has to shutter up, we're going to put up on a website. We're going to call it Walker Devastation.
Yeah!
And we're going to remind people in Manitowoc, and we're going to remind people in Two Rivers, and we're going to remind people even in those collar counties around Milwaukee that this guy's not looking out for capitalism in Wisconsin. He's taking our money and he's shoveling it out of the state to the people that brought him to the dance. These people are stealing everything that isn't nailed out. I learned in Sunday school, I didn't learn enough, obviously, but I did learn this. That's theft.
Yeah.
And we're not going to let them steal this wonderful, wonderful state's history and traditions. Solidarity, and I have one more thing to say. One day longer! Yeah.
On the Monday after Walker decided that he and his buddy, his little consigliere, Scott Fitzgerald, were going to turn this state into Fitzwalkerstan. On that Monday, Sly took his 4 hours of radio. Took those 4 hours of radio, he and his great colleague Dylan Brogan, and they decided that from there on out until we won this struggle, they would devote all 4 hours to organizing the fight against Scott Walker. 4 hours!